The term Western canon denotes a body of books that have been traditionally accepted by Western scholars as the most important and influential in shaping Western culture.
The works that a particular tradition designates as being most essential for study by the young in scholastic situations.
It's a list of books that important people have decided are the most important books that we have.
And this begs the question, what makes a book important? And who even decided what's important in the first place? Well, historically, it's been old white men.
Because those important people were all white men. White men. The way the literary canon has been established has been wholly unjust. We have a responsibility to try and find books that are written by women, by people of color.
Expecto Patronum!
Defenders of the traditional Western canon, like Harold Bloom in his best-selling book, The Western Canon, dismiss criticism of the canon as the school of resentment. There are those who say that kids these days don't read books, but that's just not true. Millennials are actually more well-read on average than earlier generations, and also read more books per year. And believe it or not, we have the likes of The Hunger Games and Harry Potter, and even Twilight to thank for that. So it's a bit reductive to be dismissive of young adult. YA is remarkable for its wide appeal. 55% of YA books purchased in 2012 were bought by adults between 18 and 44 years old.
Expecto Patronum!
Young adult is a genre that helps give its audience a lexicon for understanding that there is a complex world between childhood and adulthood. But where did this young adult genre come from? And why did it get so big? Everything changed with a boy wizard. In spite of being genre fiction, Harry Potter manages to resound not only with the YA audience, but it also leaks into a large adult market.
Not everybody loves it.
One cannot be happy about the 35 million copies of Harry Potter.
We can't be happy about that?
No, I think that's not reading. I think that's not reading. Because there's nothing there. There's nothing there.
Morality and humanity have been topics explored since the dawn of storytelling. Harry Potter explores these themes really well. There is a clear good and bad in the forms of Harry and Voldemort.
There's nothing there.
This new post-Harry Potter YA is nearly as long, and sometimes way longer, as adult fiction, and on the same reading level as commercial adult fiction. Harry Potter also opens the door for a wide variety of darker, genre-based YA novels that can appeal to an audience beyond teens.
It's not reading, because there's nothing there.
Expecto Patronum!
Every single young adult novel adds a love triangle. For no reason. Every book really does feel like it is the exact same thing over and over and over.
Girl dates boy, maybe they have a fight or something, but then they resolve it, the end.
Over and over and over. And that's why I kind of strayed away from reading young adult literature.
But in the 60s, young people started to see more thoughtful contemplations of what it is just to be a teenager. And YA allowed itself to explore deeper subjects. John Green's The Fault in Our Stars was a massive hit that dealt with kids who fall in love while dying of cancer. And one of the most popular YA books of the last year was Angie Thomas's The Hate U Give, which was partially inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement.
Expecto Patronum!
What are these stories about? Well, they were about loss, grief, heartbreak, betrayal.
I got a lot out of being educated in canonical literature. I have read the shared texts that many educated people are conversing about. But that said, the canon is very limited. And when we teach books in schools, we are perpetuating the canon, and we can also change the canon.
Expecto!
Charles Dickens was a popular novelist. Who are the popular novelists now who are worthy of being taught in the classroom? By teaching them, you begin to create a new canon that is more expansive and more inclusive.
The works that a particular tradition
White men.
designates as being most essential for study by the young in scholastic situations.
Try and find books that are written by women, by people of color.
By teaching them, you begin to create a new canon that is more expansive and more inclusive. And you may, in the process, also be getting your students excited about reading.
Patronum!
They were about loss, grief, heartbreak, betrayal, change, connection, love, disillusionment, failure, friendship, good and evil. The stories you read when you're the right age never quite leave you. And this is the power of stories. And that's true not just for stories we read, but also for the stories of our own lives. And that power does not depend on what age the protagonist is, or whether or not the book was shelved in a section marketed towards teenagers. And that power does not depend on whether or not the book was shelved in a section marketed towards teenagers. If a story has power for you, it has power both in spite of and because of these things.
More well-read on average than earlier generations.
Try and find books that are written by women, by people of color.
And we can also change the canon. And we can also change the canon.
If a story has power for you, it has power both in spite of and because of these things.
Expecto Patronum!